Personal finance practice problem using Excel. Home cost estimated increase. Prepare to get financially fit by practicing personal finance. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. If you have access to the Excel worksheet, would like to follow along, note that we're down here in the practice tab as opposed to the example tab. The example tab in essence being an answer key. We have the information on the left-hand side, going to populate that into the blue area on the right-hand side. Our question being that we're thinking about a home price starting at this time period at the $200,000. We're going to have an expected annual increase on the price 2%, and we're questioning how much will be needed to buy in 8 years. So this is a question that some people might have in terms of purchasing a home, might be planning out to purchase a home at some point in the future. In order to do that, there's a couple steps that we would need to keep in mind. One, what's going to be the price of the area that we're looking to purchase in at this point? Two, what do we expect the price to be in the future as values go up? We would expect generally, all else equal, over time. Once you have the target then that you'd be aiming for, then you can think about how much you would need to save in order to get there, how much you would have to invest each year in an investment type of calculation, taking into consideration loans and whatnot as you do so, on down payment and so on. So here we're just thinking about the value of the home itself. And it's similar to an inflation type of calculation because all else equal, we would expect things to typically go up in value due to the decrease in the valuation of the dollar. However, note that the homes, of course, are going to be specific to a particular area. So this is another area where you can kind of see the increase or decrease in the homes in a particular area, measure that possibly to increases in other types of things to try to determine how much of the increase might be due to, say, inflation and how much of it's going to be due to other factors. But in any case, with regards to the home, a small increase in the value could have a significant impact given the fact that the purchasing value of the home is substantial generally for individual purchasers. Therefore, a small increase is something that you'd want to make sure you're planning in if we were to think about purchasing a home and plan for it at some point in the future. So we're going to say this is going to be similar to our type of calculation for inflation. Note that when we look at our future value calculations, which is what we're going to use most of the time if you were to ask someone what a future value calculation will be, they'll usually have an investment scenario, meaning you're going to say, I put some money down, how much will I have at some point in the future given the increase in the investment? We've been looking here at how we can apply it to basically purchasing in the future, meaning prices go up, an inflation type of scenario, or in this case, the home we're expecting to go up at some rate in the future and our planning component. So let's do first our running balance type of calculation. We're going to have the number of years on the right-hand side. We'll just list out the 8 years and see how much we expect it to increase on a year-by-year basis. So, and this is a really good calculation because it can kind of give us an idea of where we are at any point. So if we get above in our plans and we're like, now I can purchase the home sooner, how much advantageous would it be for me to do so if I'm estimating a 2% increase? So I'm going to say 1 and 2. We'll put our cursor on the fill handle, drag that on down. That'll take us down to 8. Let's center that by going to the Home tab, Alignment, and Center. And then I'm going to put the price on the right-hand side. We're going to do that not by typing it in, but rather with a formula saying equals left, 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 and up, the 200,000, and enter. Now we're going to do our calculation for the increase that we're estimating, a 2% increase. We'll do that with a function, once again, equals, right arrow, up arrow, and then we're going to say times left, left, left to the 2%. So F2 times B3 and enter. So we've got the 400,000 increase plus the 200,000 is what we want here. So this is going to be equals up once to the 200,000 plus left once to the 4,000, and that gives us 204,000 after 1 year. That's what we expect to be paying or would need to pay at that 2% increase. Let's do it again. This time this is going to be equal to right up the 204,000 times left, 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 up, and enter. 4,080. Then we're going to say this equals the 204,000 plus the 4,080, giving us the 20880. Let's do it 2 more times, and then we'll think about how to do it the easy way, autofill way. So we're going to do it again. This equals right and up times left, 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 up, up to the 2% and enter. 4,162, and then we're going to say this equals the one above, the 208.80, plus the one to the left, the 4,162, and enter. That gives us the 212.242. One more time, let's do it. This is going to be equal to right and up, 212.242 times left, 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 up, 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 2%, enter, 4,245, and then this is going to be equal to the one above it, 2,012.242, plus the one to the left, 4,245, and enter, giving us 216,486 price after 4 years. Let's do it again, this time using the autofill, doing it the easy way. So we're going to select these items. I'm just going to delete the entire thing and do it one more time. Keep it in mind, the autofill option. This is going to be equal to right up times the 2%. Now that 2% is outside of my table here, so I'm going to think that I need to make that an absolute reference or a mixed reference. I won't do it yet. I'm going to then go, okay, I'm going to keep that in my mind there, and this is going to be equal to one above it plus the one to the left, and then I'll copy it down to verify whether or not I'm right or wrong about that absolute referenced cell. So I'll autofill this down just one set. Double click on this and I can say, yeah, that one moved down. It shouldn't have. This one's doing what we want. This one's doing what we want. So let's go back up. Let's delete these two and double click on this 4,000. I'm going to make that one in B3 absolute, absolutizing it, which isn't a word, but I like the way it rings, like the way it sounds, by hitting F4, $sign before the B, $sign before the 3. You only need $1 for a mixed reference, but absolute will work. $signs have nothing to do, you'll recall, with actual dollars. It's just a code in Excel telling Excel, do not move that down. Enter. Let's copy this all the way down now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be confident this time and copy it all the way down. Autofill handle, dragging it all the way down. I will then typically double click on the last one or something like that to see if it does indeed do what we think it should do. And it does indeed do the thing that we did it for. So there we have it. So that means at the end of 8 years, we're looking 234,332, significant increase in the price, given the fact that we're only looking at a 2% increase in the value. Remember, inflation could be anywhere from 0 to 3%, like if they're not out of control in the Fed too. So that's certainly not out of the range of the increase on a home price possibly. So let's go ahead and hide these cells. Let's do it a couple different ways. Let's do it with the formula in Excel. Let's do it with tables. Let's do it with a formula. So I'm going to put my cursor on D. I'm going to select over to, I think that's G over here, so that we can hide these cells. So we can have our data right next to where we're going to do the data input. Right click and hide. And let's do that here. So now we're going to do the future value calculation. This is the easy way of doing it, but you don't get all the detail this way. So we're going to type in future value. We can double click on this one here or hit Shift 9, which is the cooler way to do it, or the nerdier way to do it, which is cooler in the sense that it's faster. So in any case, we're then going to go left and then down. We want the 2%. So there's the 2% on the rate, and then comma, number of periods. We're going to go left, 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 down, 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 8 periods. So there we have that. And then comma. And then we have the payment. There is no payment because this is not an annuity. So we're just going to have 2 commas, bringing us over to the present value, which we're going to pick up left, left, left. And there it is. We could close it up with the brackets. I'm just going to leave it as is. The Excel will close it up for us. There we have it. I think that's the same number, isn't it? Pretty sure. And then it's negative. So I want to flip the sign to positive number. So I'm going to double click on it. You could put a negative in front of the present value, probably the more proper way to do it. But I like doing it in front of the F over here. So I put my cursor in front of the F, put a negative in front of it, and enter. Flipping the sign. Now we can do it with the tables. So the tables, once again, would be used, of course, in a situation where some cruel school or something took your calculator and your Excel and made you, and then gave you these tables, like you're in a cave, like you're a caveman, and you had to look at these tables to figure out what you want to do. So if they do that, then we can go, okay, we're going to take the 200,000 and then we're going to look at the 2% and the 8 years, 2%, 8 years. So we're going 2% and 8 years. So we're at the 1.1717. So 1.1717. 1.1717. And let's add some decimals by going to the Home tab up top, number group, adding some decimals. There we have it. Notice it's rounded to 4 digits. So if there's anything more than 4 digits, we could have a rounding difference there. And we're going to then say this is from the table. This is the table amount. So nothing unusual with the table this way, by the way. We're using the table in the normal way, getting to the end result of the future value. Font group, underline, and this is going to be our amount or future value. Let's call it future value, which is going to be equal to up to 200,000 times the 1.1717. And so notice it's slightly different than we got up top with the 342. The difference is $8. So notice as you got bigger dollar amounts, the difference could be larger, and that could be due to rounding. And remember, if you got a maniacal test question person that's trying to make you use the tables, they can use that difference of $8 to force you to use the tables, because if your answer is this, then they're going to know that you didn't use the tables, because if you did the tables, you would have got that. Now let's do it with the formulas here. So I'm going to hide some cells again. We'll do it with the formula. Put in our cursor on H. I'm going to drag on over to J and then let go. Right click on the selected area and hide again. This time looking at our formula tab. So here's our formula. Future value equals the present value times 1 plus R to the N. Straightforward calculation this time because we're solving for the future value. We're going to put this in a table format, meaning I want these two components to be on the outer side of the table and this component right here to be in the inside in a similar way as we might see in like a tax return or financial statement kind of format. So I'm going to put then the present values, our starting point, present value. And that's going to be on the outside. This is going to be equal to the 200,000. And then we're going to have on the inside, we're going to then do this calculation of the 1 plus R to the N, which I'm going to do in a subcalculation indicated by the colon here, starting with 1. The rate is then going to be rate, and the rate is going to be equal to the 2%. Going to pull that from the table, equals left, 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 up, up, the 2%. Got to make that a percent so it doesn't look like a 0 there. Home tab, numbers. We could add decimals, by the way, 2.02, or percentify it, which isn't a word, but I like it percentified. It's been percentified in Excel. And then we go to the Home tab, font group, and underline. And then we got, this is going to be the 1 plus the rate, which we can do with the trusty sum function, equals the SUM. Got to know this function. Should be automatic. Shift 9. If it's not, work on it. Work on it. Holding shift down, up arrow, doing it completely with the keyboard, as nerdy as possible. And then we're going to go back on over here and make it a percent. Home tab, number group. You could add decimals at the 1.02, or you could then hit the percent button for the 102%. So then we're going to go to the number of periods. So it's going to go to N periods. And the number of periods is going to be 8. So I'm going to say equals, and we'll pull this over from the 8 over here. Underline it by going to the Home tab, font group, and underline. And then that's going to be our end result for this component. This is going to be 1 plus rate, shift 9, and then shift 6, caret, and periods. And we'll put that on the outside now because now we've completed this subsection category. So this is going to be equal to left, up, up. Shift 6, caret, left once, up once, the 8, and enter. Let's make that a decimals. So we're going to add decimals, Home tab, numbers. And then usually if I'm adding a whole bunch of decimals just to see how much, I call it decimalizing it. It's been decimalized, which again isn't a word you probably want to type down or anything. Might not be in the spell check, but I like it. And then we're going to say that this is going to be then the end result. Let's get rid of this year 1. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. So then we can then multiply this out. So we got the two components here. So let's multiply this out. This equals up, 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 200,000 times the 1.171659.4. And that keeps on going on forever in Excel, by the way. But we're rounding it, getting us to that 234 332. Let's do some indentation here just to make this nicer. We got this colon. Let's indent these three to indicate that this is going to be a subcategory that was brought into the inside by going to the Home tab, Alignment, Indent. Let's indent this one again, Home tab, Alignment, Indent. This kind of indenting and this kind of stuff probably seems tedious. It does to me still kind of, but completely did to me when I was learning this stuff. Like, this is not, I just get the answer. I just get the answer, but you know, you got to make it nice. Presentation's half the battle, because half the people you present stuff to in real life, they have no idea what you're talking about, and you just got to make it look nice. If you make it look nice, then, you know, people are normally happy. So then we're going to say, there we have it. And then, so now notice that this amount here should match what's in the table. So if you go to the table down here at the 8 years, we have the 1.171. That's how they get to that amount on the table. And notice this one's rounded to 4 digits. That's why you get it with a different number, because this is the actual number, which isn't rounded, and the table has to round to some number of digits. So let's go ahead and unhide now. We're going to go put our cursor on B and drag on over to K. So the BK, right click on the selected area and unhide. So there we have it. We got to this 234, 332 with our running balance calculation, 234, 332 with the future value. We got to the 234, 340 because it's an estimate from the tables. And then we got to the 234, 332 with the calculation of the formula for future value.